Okay, I guess we can start. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. The webinar is hosted by Knime and our partner Target Research. My name is Vincenzo Tursi and I work as partner manager here at Knime. And today we have the pleasure to have on our virtual stage Daniele Tonini from Target Research. Daniele is a partner at Target Research and is an experienced advisor in the field of advanced business analytics. And in the last 10 years, he designed and deployed predictive analytics solutions in the field of risk management, pricing applications, and also customer intelligence. Besides this, he's also contract professor at Bocconi Universities, where he teaches statistics, predictive analytics for data-driven decision-making, big data and databases, market research, and quantitative methods for management. Before we start, just a bit of housekeeping here. We highly encourage you to use the Q&A section that you can find just at the bottom of the Zoom application to post your questions and also upvote your favorite ones. At the end of the presentation, we will make sure to answer to those questions, or we can also do that live. And the session will be recorded and will be available soon also on YouTube. So this is just a couple of screenshot here where you can see the Q&A section button. You can just type there your question and then upvote the one that you actually prefer. I won't spend more time on this and I leave the stage for Daniele. Thanks again.
Thanks, Vincenzo, for the introduction. So, and of course, thanks everybody for being here. Let me share my screen now. Okay. All right. Okay. So, thanks again, Vincenzo, and then thanks to Knime for the opportunity to run this webinar together. It's a pleasure for us. And before starting with the actual contents, a few words about Target Research. We are a small consulting company based in Milan. And as you probably imagine, we offer different kind of services in the analytic field, from advanced predictive analytics application to custom market research project, from data management to reporting services. So basically a wide set of solutions that gravitate towards the analytics world. And of course, we use Knime for I think it's 5-6 years now. So we use Knime a lot in our applications, and we are happy about it. And that's why we are running this webinar together. Okay, coming to today's webinar, let's make a deal before starting with the content. Today, I will not ever use the words machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, gradient boosting machine. I know that it seems mandatory when speaking about analytics nowadays to talk about machine learning, but I promise, we will stay grounded and we will focus on more simple but really important things that has to do with analytics, of course, but they are different from machine learning. All right, so this is the today's agenda. A very brief introduction just to set the background for the case history that I'm going to present today. And then I moved through 3 different cases in 3 different areas. And then we will take our conclusions. All right, so let's start with this thing. Think about it and think about the data issues that you are experiencing right now or in the past in your company. So here we collected some issues that typically companies have during the operations and during the business. So typically they have data that they are not in standardized format. They do a lot of manual collection of data and manual operation. A lot of data, they are in poor quality, so a lot of data auditing processes. It's difficult to apply collaborative systems, and there are sometimes it happens data loss or duplication of the data, difficulties to communicate, and it's difficult sometimes to access to the data that are managed from different units from the one you work for. So there are typical data issues. I know that in your working life, in your job, you are experiencing this kind of issue. And we want to focus on this issue and try to understand how to solve these issues. We propose some applications, and the idea is to find a common ground, a common way of thinking to solve this issue in a smart way. And that's why we titled the webinar in this way. So how to tackle these issues in a smart way. So of course, this kind of problem generate waste of time and resources. So they are costs, and we waste a lot of time managing these issues. And we can reallocate this time to do more interesting things, more value-added things, compared to spend days and hours to work on to cleaning the data and to prepare the data. So the idea is that companies need integration, standardization, collaboration, automation. They are important things, especially the automation thing is very important, but sometimes it's not that easy because we have some barriers that typically block and avoid that the companies develop some useful tools to solve these issues. So now let's focus on the automation concept that is very important, and given all those issues can be something that is really important. So few numbers about these issues and about the automation. So here we are considering the results of the 2020 Work Market Insight Report. And for instance, here, this question: how much time can you save through automation in a general business? Not only data scientists. So consider this thing. Here we are not talking about data science itself, but we are considering a broader overview of the company. So employees, business leaders, information technologists, so not just data scientists. And you see that 53% of the employees, of the interviewed employees, they say that they can save up to 2 working hours a day. It's a lot, of course. And 47% they cannot quantify. But if you consider the business leaders, so people that run business units, they say that 78% of them can free up to 3 work hours a day with automation. So it's a lot. And another insight from this research is that if we consider a work week of 40 hours, automation will save for the employee side 6 weeks of time per year, and considering business leader, we save 9 weeks of time with the automation. All right. And to wrap up, so could automation task bring advantage to your business? 90% of the interviewees, they say yes, of course. And regarding the automation benefits, they say 48% we can reduce manual errors, and that's a good point, of course. 42% they say that they can increase the speed of the task, and 38% they say that we can obtain a better quality of the work involved. All right. Other interesting numbers. So here we focus on data preparation. The data issues listed before has, of course, a big impact on data preparation. Unstandardized data, manual integration, wrong format, they all impact a lot on data cleaning and data preparation tasks. And of course, as you can imagine, also considering the work market survey, they say that 80% of data scientists, they spend a lot of time on data preparation, and 76% of them consider not very enjoyable to spend this time on data preparation. All right, so it's really something that can be considered pretty boring. And another good, interesting insight is that all the issues related to IT, technologies, and data in general, they are very, very important, because this kind of task, this kind of issues related to IT, they keep business leader and employees away from doing more important stuff. This is a very important thing, right? Okay, now considering all this information, let's try to understand how can we face these issues and can we solve this problem. You can, maybe you are thinking that, okay, the solution is simple. We just take our data, we fully integrate our data in our data lake or data warehouse, and we use our analytic tools, our analytic software, and we use what we have in our company to solve these issues. But unfortunately, sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes because the IT officers, I don't know if maybe there are someone here, but sometimes they are too optimistic about the extension and about the cleanliness of the data that they have in the data warehouse or in the data lake. The typical phrase that frequently we hear is, we have everything and it's already perfectly clean. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's true, of course, but frequently it's not. And it's also very common that business users and IT officers, they have different point of views about the data availability. So from our experience, sometimes it's not that easy to fully integrate every possible data sources in the data lake. Why? Here we have four main reasons. Because we have a lot of single user data. So every business user, every analyst, every data scientist, maybe, of course, we are using the main repository of the company, but we have also a lot of local files, a lot of data set that we are using in a different way. So there are a fragmentation of the data, typically, in the companies. And of course, the data officers and the information technologists, they are overwhelmed by requests, by new developments, and sometimes it's difficult to integrate everything in the company data warehouse. And of course, data cleaning and data preparation of many single local files can be difficult in a centralized process. And last thing, that can be maybe not so, it's not so clear, but I know that typically it's a common thing. Many business users, they want to guard and to control their own application. Of course, they want to share the results of the application, of the job that they are doing, but sometimes they don't want to share the full process, because this process, it is typically the domain of knowledge of that single person. So they want to keep all the process by themselves, and that can be a pretty important barrier to fully integrate everything in the data lake. So what can be a different solution to face these data issues and to solve this problem in a smart way? So what smart means, first of all? Smart, it does not mean perfect or optimal, right? It's not the perfect solution. That solution that is fully integrated, that is fully automated, with no maintenance cost. So smart, it not means perfect and optimal, the dream solution. It's not like that. Smart means something that solves the issue, of course, quickly, in an effective way, in a cheap way, without involving highly structured IT processes and very structured development. But of course, that can be in the future easily integrated in the company processes. That's the idea. That's what smart means. And how can we face those data issues in a smart way? So the first thing, you must recognize what is a repetitive job, something that is time consuming. You must isolate that kind of task, and you have to think that everything that is repetitive can be automated, mostly everything. And then also consider that a partial automation is a good thing. So if you have a boring task, something that involved a lot of data preparation, data cleaning, and data integration, to automate 80% of that task, it's a good thing. So fully automation, of course, is the dream solution, but also a partial automation, it is something that could be really, really important and useful. Another thing is, don't wait the explosion. It means that, okay, you can say, all right, every day I have to do this boring stuff, and we'll see, maybe in the future we'll do something to improve this thing. But remember that procrastination increases the complexity of the task and of the data, and so it's not a good thing. It's better to do something right now, immediately. And of course, you need to talk to your data officer, to your IT, and identify what can be done using the centralized operations and what can't. Okay, and this is important to recognize. And finally, of course, you need to select a tool for data integration, data preparation, analytics that is complete with all the things that you need, but it stays simple to use. It is easy to maintain, and is able to deploy all the tools and application quickly. And in the future, as I said before, it can be integrated in the company system in an easy way, right? And let's call this tool Knime Analytic Platform, for instance, of course. So I think that Knime, the analytic platforms, and also the Knime server, of course, it's a tool that is in line with all these requirements, and it is a tool that is really, really usable and effective when you want to tackle your data issues in a smart way. Okay. All right. Now let's come to the case histories. Oh yeah. Before talking about the single case histories, consider this thing. Now I'm going to present all these business cases that we developed in the last few years. This is just a selection. Of course, we developed many more than 3. And of course, they are very specific of the company and of the industry. But when you see the results of this case history, try to get the general idea and think about how this kind of solution can be applied to your own company. Okay, so don't focus on the single data details or on the single application, but try to enlarge your vision and think about the more general message. Okay. Okay. So this is the first. This is the first one. Facility management cost. So here we are considering an Italian company that owns and manages many commercial buildings. Let's call them shopping malls, also if they are not the usual shopping malls, but let's consider them as a shopping malls. So here we have many buildings to manage and many shops inside the buildings, and we have a lot of stakeholders involved. So as we have many locations spread around Italy, many suppliers, suppliers of services and suppliers of data, the data, they are not standardized at all because, of course, every supplier uses its own systems and it's difficult to integrate everything. There are many gaps in the flow because we need to join together many needs and many data. So the idea here is to solve this kind of issue of integration between different data sources. And what kind of data we are using in this application? We are using the facility management data. So we want to use the data that comes from many sources related to the different buildings and to different shops, and we want to integrate those data and to clean those data. Before applying our concept, our smart way to deal with this issue, what happened before? Before, the facility management business unit, they did it manually, typically. So they collect a lot of Excel files, and every month, they have to use a lot of VLOOKUP and Excel formulas to put together all those data sources. And it's pretty demanding task in terms of time and, of course, effort. So here, the facility management business unit, they have to speak with many stakeholders. So the leasing business unit, the media business unit, and there's a lot of external partners. So what's the point here? We want to tackle this problem using a smart solution. So the goals are to clean and merge all the data from the different sources and to standardize the formats of all the data, and we want to identify the key variables that we want to use for reporting, for instance. And we built a Knime workflow, of course, to clean and integrate all the data. The workflow that we develop here integrates 10 different Excel sources, 6 from partners or other business unit, and 4 from the facility business unit itself. And the output, what is the output? The output, of course, it's a set of data set that they are clean and ready to use for other following tasks. And this data set, they are on different level of aggregation, for instance. And and this is the main output. Of course, the idea here is to provide the the integrated data that are clean and prepared and ready to use. This is the main output. But then we have some more outputs. For instance, we have some infographics to visualize the results of the integration. And then we have also some data auditing report to identify anomalies and missing values. So this is the Knime workflow. This is the Knime workflow. Maybe I will show the Knime workflow here directly in Knime. So this is the workflow. You can see here we collect all the different Excel files, and inside the meta notes, I suppose that you know Knime if you are here, so you know that how a workflow is organized. So here we have many operations of integration, cleaning, merging, and finally we save the results. And if we want, we can explore the result. For instance, here I can select a location or a selection of location, and then I can visualize the result of the data integrations. So here I have 7 different locations, and regarding 4 variables regarding the maintenance, services, and other important cost structure variables. Here there is a report that identifies for each location which are the values. And if I want, I can also identify some anomalies with the box plot, with the conditional box plot. And so here you see the same locations, and with the box plot, I can identify if there is some anomalies in the data. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the presentation. As I already told you here, the idea is to solve possible errors that the business owner and business users and the analyst they can do while integrating manually all the data sources. This is an important thing, but then the idea is to provide different visualization to help the business users. Okay, I have some. Okay, there is some question. Okay, what's the benefit using Knime instead, for example, SIS? Okay, it's a good question. But the first thing is, of course, the cost, because Knime it's open source. Of course, also SIS, it has some visual tool that you can use, something like Enterprise Guide or Visual Analytics. But if you want to use, if you want a tool that is free, and Knime it's open source, you can use it. And I think that Knime it's more straightforward than SIS. It's less complex to learn how to build a workflow. I'm also a SIS user, right? So just to be clear, and I used a lot SIS for a lot of clients. But for this specific task, I do like more Knime because it's more flexible. It's more easy to use, in my opinion. That's only my opinion, of course. But of course, if you want to use SIS, you can. But remember that Knime it is a very good solution. Right? Maybe I will answer to the other question later on. Okay, let's go ahead. All right, here, if we want to evaluate the time that we save using this kind of workflow, for instance, here, every time the business users using the old method, so to integrate and to clean the data with the old method, they spent every month 8 hours to do all this data integration stuff. And if you think it's a lot of time, one business day every month just to take the data and to do a lot of VLOOKUP to integrate the data, it's a lot of time. And then after we build the workflow that I presented before, the workflow preparation, just to load the data and to execute the workflow, it takes 10 minutes. So it's really quick. But don't focus on just on the time saved. That of course it's a lot, but remember that this time you can reassign this time to do other activities, other tasks that are more interesting, of course. And this is a thing that you have to consider. Then here, applying this kind of workflow, you can basically avoid any kind of error, of course, and then you can add other kind of processes, just like the anomaly identification and the visualization. So it's not just to speed up the process and to reduce the error probability, but you can also increase the number of insights that you can have from your analysis, right? Okay. Second use case here, retail pricing optimization. Here, the company, it's a big retailer in Italy, one of the biggest. But before starting with the actual case, I just want to give you a few information about the pricing. Remember that pricing for grocery retailers is a really important thing, of course. And it's a central part of the marketing mix and is one of the main source of profit for the retailer. So to set the right price for the right products, it is fundamental. You can create your pricing in many ways, looking at the competitors, looking at your clients, or do a combination of what your clients do and what your competitors are doing. But of course, you can have different approaches to face the pricing optimization topic. You have some approaches that are fully automated. So if you think about transportations or hotels, accommodation industries, they typically use fully automated revenue management system to set the right price. But then you have other industries, and typically the grocery industries, they are not so automated. And sometimes the pricing strategy, it is totally manual. So you have some category manager inside your company that fix the price, totally manually. There are different approaches to fix the price. So you have, regarding the grocery, so retail grocery, you can follow the leader pricing idea. So just to temporary discount a few items, and this is really popular, at least in Italy. Or there are some grocery stores that they apply this approach, so everyday low pricing, and this is different from the leader pricing approach. Or you can differentiate the pricing considering the type of supermarket. So if you have an hypermarket or a small supermarket, you can differentiate the pricing among those types of formats. Or you can differentiate the pricing considering the zone, the area. And finally, you can consider also the client behavior. So for instance, the loyalty card behavior, and you can create different pricing program that are personalized to each single client. Okay, so this is just a general framework. But now let's come to our case. As I told you here, we are considering a leading grocery retailer in Italy that operate in the center of Italy with more than 100 supermarkets. And what's the point? The point here is that with the old pricing method, every category manager, so that person that manage the pricing for that category of products, they do it manually. So they look at the data. So they look at the data, maybe looking at some reports, some, I don't know, other tools that they have in the company. But basically, they do the pricing manually and not in a data-driven way. So it's something that it is based on sensation, more or less. And of course, it is frequently not efficient. And this is a business issue, of course. It's a problem. We have data. So now here, the problem, it's not the availability of the data and the data preparation issue itself. Here we have the data and they are more or less already integrated and cleaned. But the point is the use of the data. So here we want to use the data that we already have in a smart way. So what's the competitive framework? Typically, every supermarket of this chain competes with at least one similar store in the same area, but frequently with two or more stores. And the idea here is to use the competitor prices to develop a new pricing tool that it's able to consider the pricing made by the competitors, but also to obtain feasible margins from the pricing. So we have these two items that we want to balance doing this kind of pricing tool. So we want to obtain margin, but of course we want to maintain the idea of convenience towards our customers. And this is the scheme of this new pricing tool. So we collect the data, and the data, in this case, they are more or less okay. But the idea is the use of this data that can be a way better than before. So we want to apply strategies and business rule to analyze the effect on the margins and on the convenience index. So we have these two main KPI, the margin and the convenience index, and we want to optimize these two metrics. The output is we have some partial results from the tool, from the new tool, and we can visualize the KPI after the application of these pricing strategies. And we can simulate different pricing policies in order to analyze how different pricing policies will affect the margin and the convenience. And finally, we can save the results and apply the new prices. So this tool, of course, has been developed using Knime, and this tool is used by the category manager in order to support the pricing decision. Okay, it's not a fully automated pricing tool, of course, because the category manager, they still have some manual decision and manual task, but the manual task they are reduced in this case, and everything is done in a more efficient way. All right. So here, very quickly, the logics of this new pricing tool. So the idea is to differentiate the pricing policy between those products that are exclusive, so the products that are sold that our supermarket sell in exclusive way. And here, for the exclusive products, we will set the pricing based on some target margin policies. But then we have other products that are comparable with other supermarkets and with our competitors. And here, the pricing policies, they are based on a target convenience index that we want to achieve. And this target convenience index is based on the sales volume of the single product. So, for instance, here we have three possible pricing policies based on the convenience index. So the first policy here is to set the low prices on all the free groups, low selling products, average selling products, and high selling product. Okay, but then we can combine other different strategies. So for instance, the second one here, we set lower prices on the high selling products and higher prices on the low selling products, and we'll see the results, right? So basically we have this idea to manage the pricing issues in a different way, considering exclusive product and comparable products. And this is the workflow. Now I'm going to use to show you the workflow and see the results. So for instance, here you see that it's pretty simple and straightforward. Here we have the input part where we import the data. And as I said before, here the data, they are more or less already integrated because we have data that comes from the company data warehouse, and we have also the competitor prices that are already integrated. So we load the data, but then here we have a part, so pricing rule, where we can manage different policies, different pricing policies. We can filter some products, we can apply some other rules, and we can control those rules directly from Knime here. And then there are other rules that are controlled directly from the other systems. Okay, so then we have some data preparation, of course, here. We have some predefined filters and some other custom filters that apply those pricing rules. And then here there is the pricing engine. So we develop new prices, we find new prices for the comparable products. So those products that are sold also by the competitors, and we set the prices for the exclusive product. So in this pricing engine, we need to solve some pricing issues. For instance, a very important point is to be consistent to price those products that have different weights or they comes with in a multi-pack format. So this is an important issue in this case. And when I firstly analyzed the data, I saw that the manual pricing that before the category manager implemented, there was a lot of inconsistent pricing considering this kind of product. So for instance, you have a pack of pasta that costs €2, and then you have the same pasta, same format, but just with twice the weight, that cost more or less the same price. So there's a lot of inconsistency in the manual procedure. And here in this pricing engine, we solve all this inconsistency, and in order to have a very reliable and clean pricing result. And finally, here we have our result. We deploy the new prices in the system, and we can visualize also the result of our pricing strategies. All right, I'm just now I'm going to show you maybe a couple of results. So this is the workflow. Here I simplified the actual version. So for instance, clicking on this component in Knime, you can select among 3 different pricing policies. So 1, 2, or 3. Let's now select the pricing policy number 2. Then here you have all the workflow. Now it's already built, and here you can visualize your result. So in the data visualization, you can select if you want to analyze the pricing of the comparable product or the exclusive products, or both if you want. And here you can select the product categories that you want to analyze. So for instance, here, applying this visualization, what you have these results. So this is the data visualization of the process in Knime. So here is the final convenience index, and the convenience index is it works in this way. The highest convenience index, it means that you are on average more convenient than your competitors. When the convenience index is on average higher than 100, it means that on average you are more convenient than your competitor. So here you see that applying this pricing result, you are less convenient on average than before, but you are able to increase the margin of your selected products. Then here you can analyze different categories. For instance, here I selected the chocolate, the coffee, and the tea. And you see here with the old prices and the new prices that the convenience index, it changes compared to before. And also the margin, it changes compared to the previous situation. And every category manager here can select its own categories and see the result before the old situation compared to the new situation, and decide if this is proper or not, okay? And here, for instance, you can also analyze the convenience versus the two main competitors. So here you have the two main competitors. They are here the two violins plot. And you can analyze all the metrics related to the convenience versus the competitors, okay? And here, if you want, you can analyze those products that are with the highest convenience index. So here, for instance, this chocolate product, we have obtained a lot of convenience on this product, but of course, the new margin is really, really low compared to the previous margin. And but then here for the second product, we can achieve a lot of convenience, but the margin, it stays positive. So this is a tool that in a second, because here if I'm reset the workflow, I can reload the workflow. It takes 15 seconds or something like that to applying all the rules. And so it's pretty quick. And here, if I want, I can change the policies and see the new results, right? So this is the idea. So you can see here that it's pretty quick. It's almost finished, and now it is finished. Okay. And now, if I want, I can analyze my data and see the. Oops! Here I forgot to select the right thing. Okay. All right, and see how the different pricing policies affect the prices. All right, let's go back to the presentation. I think I'm running a bit late. All right, so this is the main advantage of this pricing solution. Of course, we can simulate the different pricing strategies and see the results. We can see how different strategies will affect the margin, the obtained margin, and the image of convenience. And we can quickly update the pricing of many products. And so it's a guided pricing tool that is very useful to support the category managers. So this is the final insights. Okay, let's come now to the last example. I will do it very quickly. Then, of course, you have the full presentation available, and you can read everything with calm. So here, the last example is here we can declare and we can disclose the name of the company. It's Carrefour, Italy. So again, it's a big retailer, grocery retailer, and but here we want to improve the reporting system related to the gift card data. So in the previous situation, what happens? People in Carrefour, they want to have insights from the the selling of gift cards and the use of the gift cards, but unfortunately they use an external provider to manage the data related to the gift card. So they have to integrate all the results of the gift card sold and the gift card activated in the last month, and they have to integrate everything manually, again using a lot Excel, and finally using some pivot table in Excel. They aggregate the results and they create their own report. So in this case, it's a pretty time-consuming process. Every month, I think previously they spent at least 2 or 3 days to do all this analysis. And the idea now is to change it, of course. So this is a very recent project, recent application. So using Knime, we are able again to integrate all the data sources and to produce something that is really fast and error-free. And finally, we are using the integration of Knime with Microsoft Power BI to create a report that is already available, and it's let's say a way more deep and detailed compared to the previous reporting that they create using Excel. Right? That's the idea. So here the usual development. We import the data, we do a lot of data cleaning and data integration, and finally we deploy this Knime workflow. Of course, if you want, you can deploy it on the server. In this case, we just use the analytic platform. But finally, we connect the analytic platform with Microsoft Power BI in order to obtain the final report. And here you have a couple of screenshots about this report. And you can see that, of course, the data that you have here, they are fake data, they are not the true data. But as you can see, using this application that is a combination of 2 tools, Knime from data integration and data preparation part, and Microsoft Power BI for the data visualization part, it's really, really effective. The company, they have now something that it is really fast, and they can gain more insights from this analysis compared to what they have before. So again, to compare the situation with the old method and the new method, with the old method using Excel, about 2 business days spent integrating the data and creating the pivot table. Then after that, the workflow is developed. It runs in about 20 minutes, and also considering the update of the Power BI dashboard, it takes more or less 20 minutes. So now Carrefour is able to save a lot of time using this application. And the important thing is that now they have something that is more interpretable, because using Power BI, it's more dynamic and flexible compared to the pivot table. If I want here, I have the Power BI dashboard. You can see if they want to drill down in the data to see different aggregation of the results. If you want to split by the supermarket type. So it's a very useful tool and very effective tool compared to a typical pivot table. So in this case, using this application here, they can do their job in a better way, and gaining a lot of and spend their time looking at the data, not prepare the data. All right, so let's come to a conclusion. So what about you? That's the idea. So ask yourself a question. If it's in your company, you have the optimal tools and everything is already cleaned and prepared, good for you, of course. But from our experience, we saw a lot of situations where there's many business users that they need help in this kind of issues because they need to be supported in their daily job, and they need to be assisted in doing more interesting tasks. So regardless of the job role, a lot of personas in your company can benefit of the solution that I presented before. Here, to be more specific, there is some examples. So if you are a manager of a business unit, you can optimize the workload, manage all the human resources in a more effective way, and you can dedicate your resources, you can assign your human resources to do more interesting stuff compared to the data cleaning. If you are a data officer or an analyst, of course, you can manage the data in a fast way, and you can automate the repetitive task. And in general, if you are a business analyst, you can save a lot of time doing and moving from doing boring analysis to do something that is more interesting. Okay, that's the idea. All right, so to wrap up, and then we move to the Q&A. I know that I have some Q&A here that I didn't read, but I will do it right now. So you can define two types of benefits of this application. Short-term benefit, of course, I already talked about short-term benefits. So the idea here with this application, tackling the data in a smart way, it makes it give you the possibility to save time, of course, to reduce errors, possible errors that you can do with the manual procedures. You can gain better insights from your data, of course, and you can also make your employees more happy to do their job, of course. But in the middle long-term perspective, the idea is that you can create an environment that is more enjoyable, of course, because you are taking off from your employees all that boring situation, and you can make all the personas, all the people in your company to work on something that is really, really important. So they have to look at the data, to interpret the data, to think about what can be useful to do with this data, but analyzing the final result of the process. After that, the data, they are already clean and integrated, not doing all that boring stuff. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, I think time's up. Yes, let me read some question. Okay, so first question regarding the pricing tool. When you simulate the margin effect, you consider when price changes, the sale volume changes. If so, how do you make the assumption? Okay, so yeah, of course, this assumption, it is not a forecasting in this case, it is just a simulation tool. Here, this assumption is that you change the prices, and based on what you observed in the past, this is the margin that you will obtain regarding the volume change. We have also integrated in the tool a part where we simulate also the future sales, actually. So we can also actually we included also that part, the sales volume change in the application. But finally, yes, we take into consideration also the sales volume change, and every category manager can look at also the projections of the sales volume and see how the pricing policy will affect also the volume. Okay, are you using Knime server to automate this workflow? Regarding this free example, no, we are not using the Knime server because people in these companies, they are okay with the analytic platforms, but finally, you can definitely, because it's easy to deploy all this workflow in the Knime server. We have other applications and other clients that they are thinking about moving this kind of application to the server. So of course, you can if you want. New and old. Okay, here another question about the pricing tool. New and old, it means that here currently we are applying a certain pricing to our product. What happens if we apply different pricing strategies? So old, it means the current prices applied by the company, and new, it means applying the new policies, the new strategies. What will be the final result? So old, it means current actually, and new, it means what happens after the pricing simulation tool. Okay, all right. Then we have another question from Ricardo. Yes, you can use definitely also Tableau. There is in Knime there is also a Tableau integration. I don't remember if we have also a Click integration, but maybe yes. For sure, there is a Tableau integration in Knime. But finally, yes, you can use the reporting tool, the visualization tool that you want. Sometimes you can just use the Knime visualization nodes, and they are fine. So, for instance, in the pricing application that I presented before, there we use the Knime visualization nodes, and I think they are okay and pretty effective. But if you want to use other external software, of course you can, right? So the last question, developing Knime on Azure or AWS, we can also use Python or R code, installing them on the machine. So you mean to use Python or R inside Knime? Let me read.
Yeah, maybe I can help with this. Okay. So as far as I understood, the idea is to have Knime deployed on Azure or AWS, and the question is whether it is possible to use Python or R within Knime Analytics platform, and the answer is yes. So you can use Python or R integration within Knime Analytics platform, and you can install, of course, those applications within the same machine, the same instance, let's say.
Okay, thanks, Vincenzo. All right. Okay, so you can find in the presentation, of course, the our contact. Let me see if we have more questions. Cool. All right.
Well, yeah, if not, you can, yeah, as Daniele said, you can feel free to reach out to Daniele and to Target Research for any doubts or questions. As said, we will publish the video, the recording of the webinar on YouTube soon, and we will share also the slides with the attendees. And thanks, Daniele, for the great presentation. I think it was really interesting. I don't know if we have a couple more questions here and a couple more minutes, maybe we can
of course.
Go through that. If not, then I would like to thank you, everyone. Thank you, Daniele and Target Research, and see you at the next webinar.
Thank you, everybody, also from my side, and thanks for attending this webinar. And of course, as Vincenzo said, feel free to contact me using the email that you find in the presentation, or just to text me. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening or have a nice day.
Bye.